Hello there, Evan Nathaniel Grimm. Welcome to my forecast for this very special Cancer new moon. This Cancer new moon is happening on July 17th at 11:31 a.m. Pacific time, of course, just your time zone. And I'm calling this one a breakdown or a breakthrough. We have a lot of monumental transitions going on. This is going to be a very consequential new moon. So I'm going to explain the overall themes here today and help you prepare so that you can set the best of intentions. As I go through, I'm going to, of course, share my screen so you can see a depiction of this very potent, very powerful new moon. There's a number of things that make this new moon special, but before I talk about those themes, just as a starting point, you want to track where 24 degrees of Cancer is in your chart. This is where there will be a new beginning and a fresh start where you can ignite something. Now, the cardinal signs in general are about executive action, decisiveness, management, and initiation. And Cancer really does deal with things like the home, the family, the foundation, anything that's familiar, personal emotions, and comfort. And then Capricorn on the opposite side, that's more about leaving the home, leaving the comfort zone, accomplishing things. It's about the career that you have, but also systems, governments, regulations, and authorities. So again, as we go through, focus on where you have Cancer. What house is that in? What aspects, do you have anything around 24 degrees, any placements there? Then, that placement, that planet will be implicated in a big way. There will be some type of initiation around that theme. So if you have Mercury at 24 Cancer or around within a few degrees of that, could be something that you're communicating or writing about, or a big contract that you're signing. Venus could be a new relationship, etc. But anyways, when we think about this chart, and you can see it right here, the biggest factor and what makes this so unique is that Pluto is officially within an hour or so after this new moon. And I'm just going to advance this so you can see what I'm talking about. But like mere hours after this, new moon, we have the lunar nodes also shifting into Aries and Libra. And at that point, Pluto is bending those nodes, and we're having a cardinal grand cross between all four of these signs. All the karmic themes that you, me, and everyone that we've been encountering the past year and a half are coming to a close because the lunar nodes have been in Taurus and Scorpio since January 2022. But now a new chapter is opening for you as the nodes shift into Aries and Libra. And this is going to be a monumental transition and transformation because of Pluto's involvement in terms of how we view our homes, our role in society, and also we're going to start to de-emphasize some of the Libran themes of compromise and emphasize personal ambition. And that's an energetic pivot that's going to manifest on all levels, societally, nationally, regionally, individually. And so as those nodes shift, and it's really shifting on this new moon, this will be an entirely new kind of backdrop for you, a whole new karmic and energetic backdrop it's going to set the tone for the next year and a half. So you really want to make sure that you're setting intentions, not only that intentions related to something in this lunar cycle of 28-ish days, but also something that you can get behind for the next year and a half as you manifest something especially in the Aries domain of your chart. So not only are we talking about starting something where you have 24 Cancer, but also focus on where you have Aries in your chart, because the North Node is going to be in Aries for the next year and a half. And during that time, the North Node can help you create these breakthroughs where you have positive growth, you're evolving towards your destiny, and experiencing those really empowering shifts. But just to talk quickly about Pluto now bending the nodes. So when Pluto's involved in these nodes, not only are we having this karmic reset, but when Pluto bends the lunar nodes, it creates this unavoidable total and absolute transformation. Because Pluto is very much all-consuming and a total kind of energy. And Pluto also investigates and excavates and exposes. So it's possible that information will come to light that resets the way that people are thinking about, the world or the society in which they live. And Pluto is also destructive. So I actually see this at its most fundamental level as a power play that may reshuffle the sort of global pecking order or hierarchy. And this is really a referendum on how power is wielded. When power is misused, which obviously it has been in our world, this creates an imbalance. And eventually that imbalance leads to entropy. And so this lunar nodal kind of shift and Pluto bending these nodes, we may be witnessing the acceleration of entropy, chaos, and unraveling. So the Pluto nodal T-square will be a catalyst for systemic transformation. And so this is something that will be experienced societally, not just individually, but that's not to say that you won't feel this again, because the universe is a series of fractals. As you go in, microscopic levels, you're seeing the same pattern cohering across. Anyways, as the lunar nodes shift right after this new moon begins, people are going to feel a different energy in the air. They're going to prioritize Aries themes, which includes independence, sovereignty, freedom, and people are going to be making consequential decisions that augment really their ability to make their own choices. So people are going to be putting themselves in a position to be the boss, be the manager, make the decisions once again, and people are going to be looking for freedom and latitude to make their own decisions. Now, with the South Node entering Libra, this is going to dilute our ability to compromise, and magnanimity will falter. And when I think about the ruling planets of these nodes, so Venus, the ruler of the South Node, it's going to be stationing retrograde in Leo. So this could lead to a reevaluation of relationships and values as it's retrograding. But Venus is in a very weak position. So Venusian-related sorts of, endeavors are going to fall by the wayside to some extent. And we've had the North Node in the Venus ruled sign for the last year and a half. So all of a sudden you're going to feel this weakening in the Venus with the Venus themes. So it's going to be harder to strike an accord with people. It's going to be harder to have a clear sense of our values. We're going to feel a little bit lost in that. Now Mars is ruling the North Node in Aries, and that's in Virgo. Mars is in Virgo opposing Saturn. So this creates a sense of friction and pushing against authority. Now, if we want to go even deeper, though, Mercury, which rules that Mars in Virgo, is in Leo squaring Jupiter, which means that information can be disseminated very quickly in a way that changes a lot of people's perspective. So it's almost like the news. There's something in the news maybe coming out, that, really alters, again, like this is existential, right? Like this almost feels existential. So this is almost thinking about like, what is the role of this system or this institution or this organization or this, governing body? Like, what is the utility of that? What is the usefulness of it? What is the purpose of it? And how is power either misused or, used thoughtfully? Because with Pluto and Capricorn, keep in mind, the United States is still on its Pluto return. So really, this is also going to implicate the US, but for all sorts of governments and companies and institutions, this is really, to me, an expose, or at least an awareness a little bit more of like how power corrupts in a way. And as the North Node goes into Aries, you will feel empowered to kind of carve your own path, manifest your own destiny. And I would foresee a lot of people abandoning or leaving behind maybe a company they work for or an organization they belong to and creating their own. Because ultimately what's happening too in the macro view is that as the North Node sweeps through Aries through January 2025, this is actually teeing up that Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. So in a way, it's actually a preview of that time. And when Saturn and Neptune conjoin in at a couple different times, but really February 2026, that's going to be an entirely new system, and it's not that we've never had obviously a Saturn Neptune conjunction before. We actually had that back at around 1990 and 1989, and surely enough there was a downfall of communism, and there was this idea eventually of like creating a European Union, and these unions with Neptune and these borders with Saturn, right? These borders with Saturn are eventually dissolving. So in 2026, about 3 years from now, there will be a redrawing of borders across the world probably. And so this nodal intersection may actually kickstart some of these themes. Now, you may not even feel it right away on July 17th, although I do think this could be a very powerful transformative day. But this is merely the snowball effect starting, the cascading impacts. And, it is the culmination, though, at the same time of, again, a misuse of power going back to, you could argue, a long time, but even since 2008 when Pluto entered Capricorn. So anyways, but I want to bring this down to a personal level. So, Capricorn and Cancer, like I said, This is about the home, the family, and the work-life balance. And with a new moon in Cancer, for a lot of people, this could be like a sort of like a new move of sorts, moving to a new home. It could be even a new sense of family, and bending those nodes. It feels like there are relationships being overhauled, values being overhauled that, change your comfort zone in a way. Like, where is your comfort zone amidst all this chaos? That's going to be up for grabs at this time. Now, you can set intentions, obviously. It's not like there's an eclipse going on, but it almost feels like an eclipse in a weird way, just because those lunar nodes are so actively like in a tense relationship with this sun and moon and even Pluto here. But it's not an eclipse, right? So it's not like there's nothing preventing you from setting intentions. But again, you want to set intentions where you have Cancer there in the chart, where Cancer rules, like what house does it rule, and so on and so forth. And with the Cancer new moon, I think that, it's almost like, how do you nurture yourself and how do you nurture others and how do you heal even? And Cancer understands the personal emotions. So it's again, like, what do you need to feel comfortable and at home in your own home and in your own country and in your own region? And we know that there's an enormous amount of upheaval right now in the world and in societies. Now, even though this moon, by the way, is in a tense aspect with the lunar nodes and Pluto, we do have it trining Neptune, sextiling Uranus. So it's not like completely turbulent. It's not all bad. It's not, anything like that. But certainly it will be intense. And again, it's an intensity that shapes like really like what makes you feel comfortable in a way. So anyways, but with that moon opposite Pluto, and the moon, of course, rules this new moon because moon rules Cancer. This like moon Pluto opposition will bring about a lot of intensity to the surface. Top heavy and centralized organizations are going to be in the spotlight. So any processes or regimens that we take as given will be challenged at this time and evaluated as to, like, what are we, even with Pluto being investments, in a lot of ways, like, what are we dedicating our what's our investment situation as a country, like in the United States? Like, what are we investing in? What causes are we taking up, around the world? And also I do, I always think that there could be a financial component. I mean, the truth is that in July, you don't historically see like intense swings in the markets, but, certainly this could still set up a phase where suddenly maybe there's like some top line numbers in like the real estate market or the home market. When I think about Cancer, I think about the home, right? So the housing market could undergo, there could be some like sort of red flags there that maybe don't actually fester and come out and manifest until the fall, because typically, again, when markets start to crash, it's more of a September, October timeframe. But this is maybe planting the seeds for that in a lot of ways. And also Pluto being debt. I think about how much debt is a country carrying. What is the debt to GDP ratio? Has it gotten out of hand? So we may be just kind of thinking about these things, stewing on these things. But in general, this new moon, I think, it's going to be so like kind of societal and macro and mundane in a way that honestly, maybe part of it, you may feel a little bit swallowed up by that. But at the same time, as you're setting intentions, remember, these are fruits that you can bear over the next year and a half, because that's how long the North Node is in Aries. So it's a new tone that's being set. So really make sure that you're setting a new tone for yourself around July 17th. Now, again, with Mars opposite Saturn, it's not going to be always easy as a time. There's going to be plenty of friction between the individual and the regulator, so to speak. The ruling class, the bureaucrats, very much going up against the Mars and Virgo, wanting to pursue their own agenda. And if you want like all the details on this sign going through this, in a sign by sign breakdown, check out my July 2023 forecast, which is going to, of course, give you a breakdown of really detailed breakdown for each one. So I'm not going to cover that here, but I really do hope that this has been useful. And one other thing I want to just mention before I go, Uranus and Jupiter are in Taurus together in a Venus ruled sign. So as the South Node is in Libra, and Venus starts to retrograde, Uranus and Jupiter in another Venus ruled sign, people are more likely, even on top of the Aries North Node, people are more likely to double down on ideas of like freedom, liberation, change, reinvention. So people are not really feeling tied down. So I would actually foresee, and I'm really glad I stuck around to make this last point. I would foresee a lot of relationships to be kind of rupturing, especially like traditional relationships like marriages. It's not that everybody's getting divorced, obviously, but I'm sure that if you look at the statistics a year and a half from now, you'll probably see like a statistically meaningful rise in divorce rates, because with the South Node in Libra, it's kind of like codependency is going out the window. It's out the door. And the Cancer new moon opposite Pluto, it's like your traditional like comforts are not really working anymore. Pluto is like, you got to face some of your demons and some of the drawbacks of that codependency, and that staying inside your shell. It's preventing your growth. And so Pluto is all about transformation. So it's all about breaking out of your shell, and even in walking away maybe from previously comfortable situations that were creating stagnation in your life, and really going onwards and upwards towards like even stepping into a role in society where you can actually drive change, because we're going to be undergoing so many changes over the next really 10 years. We have the Saturn Neptune conjunction 2026. The Uranus Saturn conjunction, I believe, is in 2031 or 2032. So there's plenty of changes coming. So anyways, again, very monumental new moon. Definitely want to be very intense, mindful, and focused on like what exactly you want to change, and what sorts of compromises you're not willing to strike anymore. What kind of codependencies and comfort zones have actually led to this stagnation more than anything else. So it's gonna be about you. It's gonna be about the individual's role in society, and also the next steps that you need to take in order to evolve further. So I am Evan Nathaniel Grimm. If you want a reading from me, get one through the link down below. I do have openings in January and February 2024 now. Also, I have an astrology guidebook if you want to learn astrology in a really easy way. I have a PDF for that. And I have a course on Saturn that's on July 22nd. You want to sign up for that down below as well. So thank you so much, and take care.